Americans for Limited Government. We've got a cultural phenomenon that's going on in this country right now, and it's basically America taking back our country. And it's not without a fight, it's not without backlash and controversy, but we're seeing things happening that can't be ignored. In fact, it made me think of an old Buffalo Springfield song, where it goes, "Something's happening here. What it is isn't exactly clear." But it's what we have is something happening here. And I think it starts. I want to look at Jason Aldean's song "Try That in a Small Town" as an example of one of the things that's happening. This is the number one downloaded song, and it's a great song, but it's been canceled, and the attempt to have Jason Aldean and his wife canceled is so it's gotten a lot of controversy. I'm going to just play a short part of it for those of you who are unfamiliar with the song.
Carjacking old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Try that in a small town.
There you go. And so that's the video that's and song that's got a lot of controversy. And a lot of it is featured on that courthouse that's behind him, which in the 1920s there was a lynching at that courthouse, and so a lot of people on the left are jumping up and down and trying to say this is about something other than what it is. And this is about small town America is small town America. It's different than the rioters and the like. And what we're seeing in small town America, what we're seeing in America across the board, across America, not just small town America, across America, is rejection of the riots and the absolute out of control nature that we saw over the last couple of years. Here's a reminder. That was in Portland, Oregon, obviously. And we had in Portland, Oregon, we had 100 days of protests, 100 days of rioting. We saw riots all across America in response to the George Floyd murder, and so you saw this people burning down their own towns. We saw it everywhere. We saw it in Ferguson, Missouri. We saw it in places like Atlanta, Georgia. We saw it in a lot of places around the country, and people got sick of it. They got sick of the idea that that you just that's not how it's supposed to work here in America. And so there's a backlash now saying, we're no longer going to put up with that junk. I'm going to go to one small town and show you how small towns react, because I think we need to be reminded of this. And that small town's one that I went to school in when I was a kid, and went to both Norco Elementary and then Norco High School. And so it's Norco, California. And I'm going to start out with a story that was about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, where there was essentially some people tried to rob the local liquor store and made national news because at 3 a.m. they come down the road and try to rob the liquor store, and the owner, 80-year-old owner, met those people wielding AR-15s, and it wasn't pretty for the AR-15 wielding thug.
Kimberly.
Pedro MB High, authorities are investigating this failed robbery attempt at Norco Market. The suspects took off running after a store clerk fired a shotgun at them. Video shows a masked man with a long gun about to enter a Norco liquor store when his accomplices come running out after the man behind the counter fired a shotgun. The three get back in what police say is a stolen BMW. The driver pulls away, almost leaving one of them behind. Here's another angle from inside the store. Marnie, an employee, describes what
that was a story that made national news recently. Unfortunately, the owner of the store has he was an 80-year-old man who had heart problems, and he succumbed to his heart problems, not related to this incident, but it was just kind of an ongoing illness that he had. But and what happened was nobody in town marched around. His sales picked up for a couple minutes, but it was it was just a sign. Just what happens in a small town. People own guns, people have guns, and people defend their property with guns. And it's a kind of a lesson about how our country works. Same community suffered a loss when the Afghanistan, we had the 13 Marines were killed in Afghanistan trying to help people, people who had helped America get out of the country after our president decided to let Kabul fall. And and so Kareem Nakui was one of those 13 who died. Kareem Nakui grew up in Norco and went to the same high school I did. And it's obviously a few years later. And here's how the community came together. This is a small town.
A massive show of support in Norco as residents, friends, and strangers gather to honor a hometown hero.
This poor boy is
Come on.
20 years old. And just, it's ridiculous what happened. So this in town, you can see by our streets lined in red, white, and blue.
A procession of golf carts, trucks, and horses waving the flag, parading down 6th Street in tribute to 20-year-old Lance Corporal Kareem Nakui.
It's heart-wrenching. It really is. My sincerest apologies to the family. There's almost no words to express.
The young Marine was among the 13 U.S. service members killed when a suicide bomber attacked the Kabul airport. Nakui, one of a handful of Marines from Southern California, lost. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover from Aliso Viejo. Loved ones say the 31-year-old's life revolved around his family. 22-year-old Hunter Lopez of Indio planned on becoming a Riverside County Sheriff's deputy like both of his parents. And 20-year-old Lance Corporal Dylan Marula of Rancho Cucamonga planned on studying engineering in college. In Norco today, though, the focus was on supporting Nakui's family. A fundraising breakfast drawing a full house.
Everybody wants to do anything and everything they can do to help. And it's, we're a small community and everybody knows everybody. And it's just real touching.
Hundreds turning out for a hike to what locals call Pumpkin Rock, carrying flags and Norco High School colors and heavy hearts for a young life cut short.
All he wanted to do was to go into the service and be a Marine. That's all he wanted to do.
And whether they knew the 20-year-old or not, those turning out for the road rally say the message to his family is clear. The community feels your pain.
People are they just feel it. We all feel it. And we're a very, very patriotic town, and these kind of things just kind of hit you where you live.
And that's a kind of the Norco story. You have the take care of yourself, don't depend on others, shown by the liquor store owner who defended himself from somebody who had bad intent. And on the other hand, you have the compassion of a community standing up and saying, wrapping their arms around a family that lost their son. And it's the guy at the end, Kevin Bash, I actually went to high school with him. So it's long pathway, but it's what a small town does. It's why the Jason Aldean song matters so much. But, this is not the pendulum swinging toward that kind of sense of America, that sense of American pride. And you're seeing it in a lot of different ways. not just in the Aldine song. Now we know that in the box office, this is the box office just from this past weekend. Barbie goes wild, and 155 million for Barbie went over the weekend. Oppenheimer, new release, gets 80. But the third most popular movie, weeks after it's been released, was Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom was a movie that had no studio backing in terms of distribution, and really was a movie that created by word of mouth and demand, much like the Aldine song, a movie that people are embracing because it's kind of it's values that they believe in. That it's got a hero who's just a guy who sits there and makes a change and says, "I'm going to do something," and about human trafficking, and it's almost a documentary about what that real life individual does. Not a Marvel superhero, not somebody who is a made up character, a real person, real American, standing up along with a Mexican counterpart, standing up, working together to try to break the cartel hold on and release children and save children's lives. 125 million in terms of revenues. Third, what's behind it? Mission Impossible, 118 million total. Didn't do as well at the box office as in its 10th, 11th, and 12th day, as Sound of Freedom did in its 18th, 19th, and 20th day. That's astonishing. So not only did they beat Tom Cruise, they also beat Harrison Ford, who was 5th. So you look at this and you say, what is this movie, Sound of Freedom? Something's going on. Americans are saying, wait a second, it's a quality movie, but they're saying there's a message of heroism is standing up against evil that it has. So what else do we have? What else is happening? We all know about Bud Light sales tanking 24% over the July 4th holiday. So that's occurred. Modelo Especial is now the number one selling beer for a second consecutive month, not Bud Light, which lost its place it held for 10 years. Disney sees decrease in wait times at parks on 4th of July. I read an article that I couldn't find, but it's an article showing that the times for that Disney was seeing incredibly devastating white crowds at a time when people are taking vacation and the foot traffic is normally very heavy. So you had and the decline in wait times was significant. It's down to like 18 minutes wait time for the average ride, which is when it was normally around 33 minutes. So you've got so Disney's suffering a backlash for their wokeness that they've been exhibiting. This is one thing is an anomaly, but we're seeing a trend where you've got the Aldine song, you've got the movie, you have Bud Light in trouble, you have Disney seeing a decrease in traffic. It's something's happening. Something's happening, and what's happening is America's waking up and saying no. They're saying, I'm going to maintain my values. I'm going to defend my values. I'm not going to support those who are going after my values. And I think that's an incredible shift from the passive acceptance that we saw a few years ago. I was sitting in DC on the day that Donald Trump accepted the Republican nomination. I was at the White House when that occurred, along with thousands of my closest friends, and it was a really historic thing. And surrounding the White House were Antifa people screaming and shouting and threatening, and they were loud. They were loud. Their voices could be heard from the inside. They had to there really was no Secret Service job to protect the inside of the White House. Once they told us it was time for us to leave, they didn't have much to do with us in terms of that. But and some people end up walking out in the crowd. Senator Rand Paul was one of those, trying to walk about a block and a half to get to where his vehicle was parked. And he had a Metropolitan Police officer with him. Fortunately, him and his wife. But he was accosted by the crowd. Some went out of the White House in a different way and kind of literally wandered for about an hour and a half before they could get to where their vehicles.
Coach, you need a job
So
that
it's
pays well, where you can
so
pick
you
your
had a lot of
schedule.
stuff like that going on, which was where people were under attack. That's not America. That's not what we're supposed to be. And yet that's what was happening. I think that's what we're seeing a backlash to. We're seeing a backlash to the maltreatment of President Trump by our judicial system. People are tired of this garbage, and they're beginning to unite and say, we're not taking it anymore. And I think that is a positive thing for America. And if the left doesn't like it, well, too bad. Let's see what we have in the chat here. Let's see if we got anybody. Okay. Michael, it's obviously the leftist way is to attack people that bring out the seriousness of problems and use solutions. That's what speaks for itself, and how the pure evil of Democrats. That's the embarrassment of our country, pushing to silence free speech and use the FBI. Now, Michael, I agree. We have this notion by the left that if you cry and scream and pound your feet enough, if you throw a big enough temper tantrum, people are going to give you your way. But the fact of the matter is, that's not the way it works. And some of us who are kind of tired of it. And this is the battle for the DNA of America. As I've said before, this is a battle for the soul of America. Joe Biden said it from 2020, said in 2022, and he said it again in 2023. It's the battle for the soul of America. And the bottom line is the Jason Aldean song emblemizes the soul of people who are the people who walk up. And you didn't see this in the I guess you did see in the Nukui piece in Norco. People who took out their day to symbolically, they walked up to something called Pumpkin Rock, which was just a rock when I went there, but walked up to Pumpkin Rock and and as a memorial, because that was one of the things that their fallen hero, Corporal Nukui, he had planned to do when he got back with his friends. And so it was so I did it as a memorial to him, just to kind of hike up there and show support. So it was that's, to me, that's what America is about, is coming together in times of tragedy, coming together in times of when our hearts are breaking. That's helping your neighbor. That's going and being part of a community. It's being part of a local church. It's being a positive contributor, as opposed to saying things didn't go. I don't like what's happening, and so I'm going to burn down the courthouse. I'm going to burn down buildings. I'm going to go loot the local CVS or the local Ace Hardware. I mean, that's not America. That's anti-America. You don't like it, change it, but you don't burn my flag. You've got a First Amendment right to do it, but don't burn. If I see you burn my flag, you're going to irritate me. You're going to make me mad. And there's going to be people who get mad about it, and they're going to stand up and say, no, we're going to fight for America. We're going to fight for what the flag represents, what people who gave their lives to defend that flag, to make sure that flag never hit the ground. You don't get to you can do what you want, those of you on the left, but don't expect people to sit there and just say, oh yeah, you win. No, your temper tantrum has to be met. It has to be met with resoluteness. And it's time for us to meet it with resoluteness and get serious about taking back our country. And I believe that the Jason Aldean song and the response to the anti-child trafficking movie, which is not a political movie. Who thought that that's controversial? Being against child trafficking, how could that be controversial? But apparently it is to some. Let's see here. It's a true movie. We need to keep our eyes open for all the children. We've got a massive, we are the #1 child trafficking nation in the world right now, according to people who track these things. I don't know how you track that, but now we've got over almost 100,000 children who were released into the interior by the Biden administration over the last couple of years that we don't know where they are. No idea what happened to them, because the law in the United States says, oh, you have to release them. And so the person who brought them, the trafficker who brought those children, isn't necessarily, we don't have any way of knowing if those children belong to those traffickers or if they're their parents or not. We have no way of knowing. We've lost track of almost 100,000 children. It's a complete failure of a system. It's a complete failure of a willing failure by the Biden administration. Let's see. I'm gonna go with, yeah, Sharon. That's my man. I could save us all a lot of time. This is the point. We want to save this country, not burn it down. Exactly right. And thank you, Sharon, for bringing that up. I'm going to. I just wanted to do this because over the weekend it really struck me the differences that we see, and how different people respond. And I remembered the pictures out of Norco, and I wanted to share that with you. So, hopefully this is something that you can share with others. America is worth fighting for. America is what we saw in the small town clips. America is a place that we can be proud of. And, it's time for us to start showing that all these people want to tear down our country, that not on my watch. We can have honest discussions about things that need to be fixed, because things do need to be fixed, but you're not tearing down America on my watch. And I think there's more of us than them. So let's just make it work. So if you share this, that'd be great. The more people who see it, the better. And it's and feel free to you can subscribe. There's somewhere you can subscribe in this thing. What's more, if you want to check out some of our other videos, feel free to. The Americans for Limited Government has a whole catalog on YouTube. We've got over 1,000 videos on there. So feel free to jump in. And Facebook, we have video, more than 1,000 videos on Facebook as well. And we have 10 to 12 new videos coming out every single week. So check them out and share them, and let's just take this country back. Together, we're much stronger than the left will ever be. And with that, I just wish you a good day. And from Horsetown, USA, which is what Norco calls itself, we'll ride into the sunset for today, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. And with that, have a great day.